Hello and welcome to Sacred Foundations. Today is December 21st, 2021, and we have been promising you a bit of an introduction. So I'm Julia Frehner. Welcome. I'm with Jill Chesorw. Today is the solstice. Happy solstice, Jill.
Happy solstice.
Yeah, it's such a magical day today, and couldn't have thought of a better day to do this introduction. And as we get ready to merge into the next year, it just felt so good for us to show up and do this together. So in this introduction, we kind of wanted to discuss what Sacred Foundations is, what it's all about. And for me, my intention here is individually and collectively to help support you, anyone who comes to this channel, to this space, to like lay another paver on your foundation. Maybe your spiritual foundation is new. This is so wonderful for that, because we give you some wonderful insights and tips and a meditation to really ground you and embody you and get you sure-footed on your path. And maybe you have been on your spiritual path for a long time. And again, this is so perfect because you get to check those pavers. Are they solid? Are they in place? And this is just that gentle monthly reminder individually, and a gentle monthly reminder collectively of the wisdom that's out there that we can all tap into and begin to share. It's been so uplifting for me, and I'm so honored to do this with my very, very good girlfriend over here, Jill. So Jill, tell me, she's so eloquent, tell me what your intention behind Sacred Foundations.
Yeah, no pressure there. Thanks, Julia. I wouldn't say eloquent is a word I would use, but thank you. So the Sacred Foundations to me is a very deep personal practice that I have for myself, and I need it. It looks different, I will change it up a little bit, but the skeleton of a sacred foundation is essential to me individually. And I do find that for my personal clients and for my friends and my sister souls, that a sacred foundation helps people navigate the ups and downs of life. When you have that foundation and it comes from a place of sacredness, then when everything's going amazing and wonderful and whatever, that's great. And then when life kind of tosses in a couple curveballs or kind of, shakes you up a wee bit, and you've got that foundation, you don't fall as far down. You fall maybe a little bit, but you're supported by that foundation. So building that sacred foundation or deepening it, because again, if you're newer to a sacred foundation, or you have had one for a while, but maybe you got out of practice and your foundation weakened a little bit, then you are deepening what you had or changing it up and strengthening it. So a sacred foundation really is not a nice to have, it's an essential to help us all navigate our journey in this lifetime.
Yes, I love that. And this space then comes together as this wonderful container where you have both of us holding it, and you get to come in monthly, right? And we do a card pull early in the month, and then mid-month we show back up with some frequency work and a guided meditation, which is so beautiful. And the cards that we use are from these two decks. And they're both very magical. I have been honored to participate in these, but I'm just going to have Jill first share how these two card decks were birthed. And then I can share afterwards, if you don't mind, Jill, how I got involved in the first one, because I almost did it.
I love that story. Yeah, I would absolutely love for you to share that. So I am just going to go over here. So the first deck is Awakening to Your Divine Self. And the way that deck came together is I was part of an online artist community, and art is not my main, like, I wouldn't call myself an artist. Julia will go into some words as far as 5-year-old art and an intuitive artist. But for me, that was like all new. Like, I'd done healing work for a long time, but the artist archetype within me was lurking. So a friend of mine invited me into this online community, and I actually joined Facebook to be part of this community of people who had all participated in a online art practice. And then there was a Facebook group set up for all of these women. And I noticed that in that online community, that these women in this group were so loving, so talented. I'm an empath, so I'm sure a lot of you are, or I would identify with that as well. I could feel the love and the wisdom from these women, and they supported one another through celebrations and were genuinely happy for each other. And if somebody was going through a little bit of a hard time, there was genuine support. And this is going to be a smidgen of a criticism, what I see over the last several years, as far as people supporting people to get business from them or whatever. So to me, there's a little bit of a wonkiness energy to some of the communities online now at this point in time. But back then, there really wasn't that. It was just genuine, heartfelt love and support. And let me back that up. I'm sure there's plenty of spaces that are still like that. There just seem to be fewer and far between. Anyway, so the women in this group were loving and kind. And I remember feeling, and then also getting some kind of intuitive hits, because I could see the illumination of these women and the gifts that they had to share with the world. And I thought, how could their love and wisdom go out and reach more people? And then, it just really kind of naturally and organically unfolded in that it be an oracle card deck, a group of collective women that identify as artists and or healers in some way, shape, or form, to come together with the common purpose of sharing their love and wisdom with the world. And there it was. I think for the first deck, we had about 39 artists. Don't quote me on any of this, I'm sorry, it's been a while. But anyways, from all over the world, and they created their image, and then they also created a message. Some channeled it, and some brought it forth however they intuitively bring their messages and their wisdom forth. And that is the first deck. The second deck was still kind of felt, it was intuitive. There was always this feeling that there would be 3 decks made, and it's an expansion of the first deck. They work beautifully individually, and Julia and I both love to use them together because they really do complement each other. But the intention behind the second deck was basically along the same lines, collectively bringing through wisdom from a group of women to, in this case, the priestesses of the new earth, and really kind of like weaving the energy into the collective. So these higher dimensional frequencies, weaving them together and expanding them in the world of form.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful too. So beautiful. Yeah, so I was part of that art collective. And yeah, just to touch just and what I bring into my personal practice too, it's really honed in for me, the awakening of the 4-year-old that was within me, and the wise woman. And at the beginning, years ago, when we were all in this beautiful art group together that was birthed by Connie Solara, that cracked open so much healing for me. I had recently lost my husband, I lost property, lost my home, lost the business that we had. I mean, it was just really a rough time. And I needed something And this was the something that began my foundation, my spiritual enhancing back then. So as we all had met, and it was a really pure, innocent time, and so much magic was happening, and we could all feel the love of the women that were collectively together. Yeah, a couple of years go by, and I'm thinking, along what Jill was thinking, is how can we showcase this magic, this wisdom, this beauty? And Jill and I had not yet spoken about this, but I thought to myself, oh, maybe some art cards is what I was thinking, a deck of art cards. And I mentioned it to a friend that we both have, who was also part of this. And she says, can I throw her name out? Is that okay? Can we throw out
I would love
names,
to
Jill, you
give
think?
her a shout out because she is a beautiful soul.
So sweet Pam, we both were chatting with her, but Jill and I had not yet chatted. And I tell Pam this would be great. And Pam's like, oh my gosh, Jill is doing that. And I was like, stop. And then of course my insecurities came up again. Like, I'm not an artist. I'm not, how the ego takes over. And Pam just was like, you've got to do this. You've got to do this. And I think I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I joined. And that's when Jill and I began to develop our relationship, as we developed a relationship with many of these women along this process. So that's how I jumped in. I almost did it. In fact, I think I was halfway through with my piece and I was like, this isn't going to hold up. But what's so beautiful, and I think as you spend more time with us and you begin to see these cards and hear the wisdom of these women, it's a spectrum of what people would consider fine art and intuitive art. And it all collectively comes together so beautifully in art. And it's the art of awakening. It really is. And that's part of what I have on my website, is that the art of awakening. So I am super excited to have been participant in both and to continue to share this wisdom as it goes on, and these beautiful, beautiful women from across the globe. So yeah, Jill, anything else you want to add to that you can think of?
No, other than I always say no, and then I add something. These cards really help build that sacred foundation each month. So as a tool, they're priceless to me, again, personally, and then also in my practice with the people that I work with. And we've been doing this now for a year in a smaller group, and now we've opened it up bigger to do on YouTube, so anybody can join in without having to deal with a Facebook group or whatever. So they've supported a lot of people. We've gotten some good feedback from people, that we get messages all the time from people saying how helpful they found them on their journey.
Yeah. And people have also asked, how can we work with you, both of you, or each one of you individually from a personal level? And so Jill and I both have our own personal practice. My website is currently under construction. I had a brick and mortar pre-COVID, and so we won't go into that whole story of not having the brick and mortar studio anymore. But so my website is under construction, but you could find me, and we will post those down below, at Soul Space Studio WA for Washington State .com. And what I bring in as a soul coach, prefer more of a transformational guide, is I work a lot with people who feel that they've lost their magic and their lust for life, to actually go back within themselves. And again, I love the word guide, to guide them to that place within them, that 4-year-old and that wise one still reside, and have them begin to communicate with each other. Not all of my practices involve intuitive art, but most of them do. And I find that working with individuals, when they can get beyond that stream of consciousness writing and artful play begins to develop an esoteric language that you and your soul understand. And that again ties into these cards, because this intuitive art, this art and the wisdom of the women who shared in these decks really begins to speak to your soul in a very sacred way. So in my practice, I have found that to be so helpful. I have bi-monthly Luna gatherings that I do via Zoom, which are open to anyone who wants to join. Yeah, other retreats and one-on-one coaching sessions, and at all different levels. I think that's the beauty of what Jill and I do, and the offering of Sacred Foundation is the energetic or currency exchange is also very sacred, and there are varying levels depending on where you are spiritually and financially and emotionally as well. Yeah, Jill.
So I'll just give a little shout out to Julia, because she is one of my go-to people when I am personally feeling like I need some outside help. So over the years, immensely, with personal stuff that I have going on, I do have a son, and I say this with his permission, that is bipolar, and he does very, very well on the regime that he has for his well-being. So thankfully, he is doing wonderful, but it was a very difficult year, and Julia and the services that she provides really, really helped me through an incredibly difficult time. I am always eternally grateful to you, Julia. So my name's, as you already know, Jill Chesorw, and my website is elementsofmastery.com. I'm a multimodality energy healing practitioner, and I've played with a bazillion different ways to say this, as far as I help blah, blah, do blah, blah. And just nothing ever really kind of feels authentic to me. Bottom line is that I'm Reiki, reconnective healing, body code, emotion code trained. I do human design work. I'm a baby astrologer, so I'm just kind of learning astrology, but I do pull astrology into the work that I do with people. So some of the work I do is just purely frequency based, working in the quantum field. I personally think we are all divine love frequency channels, whatever we want to call them. So just really tuning into the body field and working on any imbalances. Body code, emotion code releases trapped emotions, and it will identify specific trapped emotions or imbalances in the body field. So that's a super cool program. It's really kind of the backbone of a lot of the work that I do is with body code, emotion code work. I'm also a language of light channel and do activating and awakening ascension codes for the Aquarian age using encoded art and language of light and signing of language of light. That is not everybody's bag. I totally understand that. So, you know, I work with people that are a little bit more mainstream, and then I work with people that are really kind of a little bit more esoteric, and anywhere in between. Although I will say that a spiritual base way of living with something bigger than ourselves here in our physical bodies is probably the best type of person that I work with, and you'll get the most out of working with me if you have that essence. Having said that, I have some people that have no beliefs at all, and that's fine too. But I love working with spiritual based people. All right, so
Yeah.
I think that's a nice introduction, everybody. We're so glad that you're here with us and wanted to get to know a little bit more about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Which, did you want to say a little bit more about the Sacred Foundation's practice, or did we cover that good?
I feel like we've covered it pretty darn good. We are always available for questions or comments, thoughts. We do like them to be very gentle, very gentle comments and thoughts, but But we would love to hear from you. Reach out to either one of us. We'll also post our emails down below as well. And Jill, I just want to say thank you for mentioning the light language. That is something that I also more reluctantly do, and bringing more into my practice as well. And I wanted it to be stated here, so thank you for mentioning it, because when we're doing frequency work, when we're doing intuitive guided meditation, it may come out. It just sometimes just has a flow, and it's very beautiful. So thank you for mentioning that. And Jill's frequency work, she too, since you did a shout out for me, I will say she's been one of my go-tos, one of my mentors. And her mastery, is it the 11 mastery, 13 mastery? I can't remember right now.
The 13 master attunements.
It is amazing. What she puts together, I spread out and work with anytime I'm ready to, one, when it calls me, and two, when I'm ready to make a new step. If I'm going to go into something, if I open up a new program or anything like that, it has been a gift. So you may want to for sure look into that. Okay, I think we covered it all, Jill. Yay!
All right. Yep. We look forward to having you join us every month. And if you want to just check back with us, or you can hit the subscribe button on YouTube so you get a notification when we put out a new video, whatever works best for you. All right, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Bye.